Tonight, a lawnmower amongst the debris. A wet weather crash in Port Augusta leaves one man in hospital. The highway partially closed. And Port Pirie residents raised the alarm after water disappeared from a Mid-North reservoir.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. A man was lucky to escape without serious injuries following a shocking accident near Port Augusta this morning. Emergency services were called to the scene before sunrise. Daniel Pizarro has the story.
Maddie, emergency services were called to the intersection of the Augusta Highway and Rangeview Road in the early hours of this morning following a shocking crash involving 2 vehicles. The accident occurred just after 5:30 a.m. when a ute towing a trailer collided with a Kenworth truck. The driver of the Nissan, a 41-year-old man from the area, sustained a minor head injury and was taken to Port Augusta Hospital. That's contrary to earlier reports the man was trapped inside the car. Meanwhile, the driver of the truck, a 31-year-old Para Vista man, was uninjured. Major traffic delays were in place as the Augusta Highway was reduced to 1 lane in a contraflow as road crews worked to clean the area from debris, which had strewn across the intersection and the highway. The Augusta Highway was fully reopened by 8:30 a.m. and an investigation into the cause of the crash is now underway. Maddie, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Daniel. From Japan to Seoul, Peter Malinauskas has landed in South Korea as part of his tour to push South Australian hydrogen. Attending a critical minerals business roundtable, the Premier says it's clear South Australia has minerals the world wants, and Korea is a key export market for our state. Mr Malinauskas also meeting with the South Korean steel giant POSCO to discuss how they can implement hydrogen to manufacture green steel in a similar vein to what is planned for the Whyalla Steelworks. To Port Pirie now, where locals have been voicing their concerns about the lack of water and wildlife at Napaby Reservoir. Residents want answers about the seemingly declining health of the park.
Located 3 kilometres north of Napaby, the reservoir is truly a hidden gem of the southern Flinders Ranges, and locals want it to stay this way.
We had a meeting on site just recently in the early part of the year, just prior to the election, in regards to some concerns that were there. There was a footbridge that wasn't in good shape and some wells that were sort of needed to make right.
Council is looking at conducting a public consultation about the site to learn about the public's concerns, but say its relatively remote location makes it a difficult issue to address, as it's on a national park and decisions require government approval.
As far as like getting water and all that sort of stuff, there's a natural seep that comes up through the bottom of that, and it doesn't seem to be finding its way.
To determine where the water is going, Council will conduct an investigation with professionals, as the lack of water is affecting the local wildlife.
Certainly water will help some of the bird life, so we'll look into that.
In the meantime, you can still visit the reservoir, which is a short walk away from Nelshaby Reserve. But do be careful as there is long grass, and with the weather warming up, snakes are becoming more active. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Police are investigating a break-in where thieves allegedly stole weapons from inside a Port Lincoln home. It's alleged 1 or more people broke into a house on Robertson Road between the 5th and the 10th of October, stealing a crossbow along with arrows and a sword. SAPOL is asking anyone with information about the incident to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000. Some long-awaited closure for the families of those buried at the Penindi Cemetery is not too far away, with archaeologists from the Flinders University conducting a survey uncovering the exact burial sites.
A burial site in grave danger has found new life. Now the Penindi Cemetery can finally begin its upgrades after an underground survey was carried out.
Flinders University archaeologists have completed a ground penetrating radar survey at the Penindi Cemetery to determine the exact sites of the interments.
The local community also showing their support for the site, with family members, council and students all in attendance.
We had a really good turnout of working group participants as well as council staff and councillors, and quite a few students, or potentially all the students from the Penindi Primary School.
Council is now waiting on approvals under the Aboriginal Heritage Act 1988 before upgrades can commence. However, proposed improvements are already in the pipeline.
Some of the improvements we're looking at would include a shade structure and seating, rabbit-proof fencing, new entrance gates, a gravel surface with differentiating colour gravel to define paths throughout the site.
The site heavily dug out by rabbits, leaving many graves in ruins. With the results of the survey still a month away, it hasn't stopped council from already taking action.
We have recently done some minor works at the cemetery, which include rabbit baiting and just general tidying of trees and shrubs.
A memorial note dedicated to those believed to be buried in the cemetery is also in the works. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Still to come tonight, local pride. A Spencer Golf doctor crowned the best GP in the state. And we visit the Flinders and Upper North Local Health Network's Open Day as part of Mental Health Awareness Month. Welcome back. The Royal Australian College of General Practitioners has announced the winners of its 2022 South Australian and Northern Territory Awards. Local doctor Holly Deere from Crystalbrook taking out GP of the Year. The annual awards program recognises the value of GPs in the community and celebrates their achievements. Dr Holly Deere will now go in the running for the National Award in her category. As Mental Health Awareness Month continues, the Flinders Terrace Health Centre in Port Augusta held free workshops and a barbecue for locals. Organisers say they're always on call to help those in need, with a variety of services on offer.
Despite the grey and wet weather, many Port Augusta locals ventured to the Flinders Terrace Health Centre for the Flinders and Upper North Local Health Network's Open Day. Organisations including Headspace, the RFDS, Centrecare and Adult Mental Health Services held workshops and community discussions.
Centrecare bought little Christmas decorations so you can make an ornament to put on the community Christmas tree. We've got Standby making some little cubes. Headspace have also got some craft. And then the Pickawee Health Service have brought in something for the community to sign to put up.
Visitors created hand-stitched hearts for the 1000 Hearts endeavour to let people struggling with depression and loneliness know they're not alone.
We're really, really pleased at the amount of work and effort that's gone into this day today, that is paid off with all the people that have turned up to attend the craft sessions, to attend to staff who are here to seek any advice that they wish to access.
The biggest draw was the large poster from the Pikiawea Aboriginal Health Service with hearts filled with messages about combating domestic abuse.
Improving Aboriginal health is exactly like what's happening today, that we work with agencies, we work with the community, the elders and the Aboriginal people in our communities to improve their health. So that's about ensuring that our services, the programs we delivered are tailored to the needs of that community group.
Help is there when you need it. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Meantime, Headspace Broken Hills Youth Reference Group is on the lookout for some new members. The group recently held an open day as well, where they showed some artwork that they had created and what they get up to during meetings.
If you are 14 to 25 years of age and are looking for some cool things to do, the YRG wants to meet you.
Whether you just want to see what it's about, or if you want to seek any professional help with mental health issues, realistically anything. We even help people find jobs.
The group likes to plan events, and it's easier to do group activities since life is getting back to normal.
One of my brother's friends was a part of the group and recommended that I come down to check it out, and came down and helped organise one of the pre-existing events, which was a roller disco.
The YRG has been around for a little while, with Headspace in other cities also having a dedicated youth group.
The group that came about here, I joined in 2017 and was already existing with a few of my other friends who were a part of it.
What does the group look for in its members? Someone who is community-minded and is also dedicated to helping young people.
As long as you are a youth person who is willing to do anything to help Headspace and help out with youth in the community, just come down and ask to join and we can help organise it.
Joshua Mercer, 7, Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. After the break, a dire warning for South Australians around Christmas time. And coming full circle, the homegrown artist returns to her Port Pirie roots for a limited time only. Welcome back. Like the Grinch that stole Christmas, a potential fourth COVID wave may be out to ruin the jolliest time of the year. A parliamentary committee has received updated modelling showing that South Australia's next wave of COVID-19 will peak in early December, with the highest number of hospitalisations to come around the 25th. Chief Public Health Officer Nicholas Spurrier has warned a fifth COVID dose vaccine may be needed to stop potential outbreaks in the state, with increased public gatherings throughout December. The Port Pirie Regional Art Gallery has a new exhibition on display, and they've been waiting a while for this one. It's the show's last stop of its regional tour, giving locals one last chance to go and explore it for themselves.
The Jam Factory has made its way to Port Pirie, where the artist Angela Valamanesh was born and attended primary school.
So the exhibition, I guess, looks at 25-year span of her over 35-year career as an artist, specifically looking at works around botanical drawings that she was influenced, like the ones behind me from the Glasgow School of Art.
Angela's anatomical and science-based collections were inspired by medical journals from the 1800s.
She's got this beautiful curiosity about the natural world, the natural environment, our place in that natural environment.
Angela's work explores a variety of art mediums, including ceramics, plaster, video and watercolour, which was used in her paintings of pollen grains.
So it's really stunning work and lots of really great ideas for whatever groups that you might be involved in terms of getting creative.
What makes Angela's work so special is that it's open to interpretation, with a lot of her artwork exploring cells from animals, plants and even vegetables. Ursula encourages everyone to enjoy the exhibition while it's here, including school groups, with the gallery providing an education resource upon request. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Today, the founder of the Broken Hill Book Company was in the city to announce a new book that will be published under the banner. It's set to retell the story of rock and roll from a bygone era.
Committed to telling the stories of the Silver City. That's the goal of the Broken Hill Book Company, and there are plenty to tell with such a rich history.
I was interested to record the history of Broken Hill and I wanted to put it into books, so I formed the Broken Hill Book Company after I had been doing that work with the BDT.
The new book is set to trace the history of rock and roll from the 60s and 70s and possibly beyond.
So this book will be called Broken Hill Rocks, but it's not geology, it's actually the rock and roll era of the 60s and 70s.
The book is set to be written by a former local man turned politician.
It's the idea of a guy called Mark Kirsten who was the deputy mayor here in Broken Hill and ended up being a politician in the state parliament in New South Wales.
Earlier this year, the company launched a second edition of Barbara Di Franceschi's book of poetry called Strands, while there is currently another book being written called Pubs, Publicans and People.
We're journaling all of the history of the pubs in Broken Hill and every pub that's on the end of a road that leads out of Broken Hill. So, to be honest, there's about 100 pubs.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Whiting, squid and gummy shark. What's biting and where? Fish and Tips is next. And the wet weather continues, but for how much longer? Alex Sykes is up after the break. Welcome back. Set your alarms. It's squid o'clock in Port Lincoln, but only if you're up before the sun is. For the rest of our fishing tips across the Spencer Gulf, here's our experts.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. We'll start over the Coffin Bay side. Whiting reports have been really good through the farm beach grounds, so that does extend up to Frenchman's and also over the other side to the Sandhill area as well. In the deeper water drops, there have been some nice gummy sharks caught as well, so it always pays to have a slop line set out the back. Up the coast, around the reef systems at Craws, there have been some schools of big salmon hanging out there, so a few boats have been getting into them. The reefs out wide of Sir Isaac's have been holding a few red snapper and also some good sized school sharks. Back here in Lincoln, there have been some decent squid reports. Town jetty first thing in the morning, but also boats working up along the North Shore and out around Boston Island. Whiting reports have improved in the local bay. Well, that's all for tips this week. We'll see you again with more tips next week.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, there's kingfish absolutely everywhere at the moment, from Port Patterson, Chinaman's Creek even. There's a school of salmon down at Chinaman's Creek, but the main school of kingfish are up around the powerhouse. They have been getting up around the top of the Gulf as well, up around the train bridge. King George whiting can be found, but silver whiting are more prevalent around the banks and that on the low tides, and actually up in the high tides during the mornings up in these as the summer tides kick in. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
Welcome another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips from Port Pirie. We've missed you a little bit, but we've got some King George whiting out there at the moment. So if you'd like to drop in around the Checker Buoy, Eastern Shoal and even over the Barrows Beach area, King George are being caught up to 50 centimetres. That's quite a good size fish. So this season is just holding on a lot longer than it should do. So make the most of that while you can. If you're looking for some blue swimmer crab while you're at Checker Buoy, have a look over there. You'll need some deep rope, but you might find some of those first season blue swimmer crabs. Good place to start. If you wanted to chase around at Port Davis, I'd say they also go down to Woods Point and then move a little bit further west out to the deeper water. You should be able to find those big fish there as well. Just watch your weather patterns over the weekend. It's been inclement, as we know, but plenty of things to still have. So keep looking at every of your local spots for blue swimmer. They're just about ready to come through. Cheers, mate.
How good is crab? Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, some severe weather in Broken Hill.
That's right, Maddie. A whole lot of rain has fallen, more than 56 millimetres over the past 24 hours. The most rain the city has seen since March. The downpour continued just about all night and into the morning. There was a 2-hour window where not a drop was recorded between 8 and 10 this morning. Temperature-wise, Whyalla reached 20 degrees. Port Lincoln topped 17 just before 3 p.m. 19 degrees in Coober Pedy. No rain today, but around 17 millimetres fell last night. Looking more broadly at today's weather map, it's not listed on the screen, but Hawker recorded 38 millimetres of rain today. 15 degrees in Broken Hill, rainy conditions, but not as much as last night. 17 in Kadina, 18 in Woodner, Port Augusta and Port Pirie. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a high pressure system will develop over Western South Australia tomorrow, then move over the rest of the state on the weekend. Another low pressure system will move across from the west next week. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. West to southwesterly winds 10 to 30 knots, seas between 1.5 and 2.5 metres, decreasing to around 1 metre at midday, and south to southwesterly swell below a metre, increasing up to 1.5 metres. Partly cloudy in Port Lincoln, set to reach a high of 19 degrees. Cleve will get down to 8 degrees tonight, 19 tomorrow as well. Woodner partly cloudy, 20 degrees. 20 the top in Whyalla as well, partly cloudy conditions. Port Augusta partly cloudy, set to reach a high of 21. Kadina can expect a bit of rain, heading for a maximum of 19 degrees. Possible early shower in Port Pirie on Friday between 10 and 20 degrees. A shower or two In Clare, 15 degrees, and reprieve for our viewers in Broken Hill, partly cloudy tomorrow, heading for a top of 19. Taking a look further through the week now, starting with the outlook for Saturday, sunny and 24 in Cooper Pedy, partly cloudy everywhere else, 23 in Port Augusta, 22 in Port Pirie, light winds around Whyalla, 21 degrees there. Moving on to Sunday's forecast now, sunny conditions across most of the region. Woodna will be the warmest of the bunch. Blue skies and 28 degrees, 25 in Port Augusta and in Port Pirie, 20 the top for Port Lincoln. Humid conditions in some parts on Monday, showers and 29 degrees in Port Augusta, Woodna and Cooper Pedy, showers and 27 in Whyalla, mostly sunny in Port Pirie, 28, sunny in Broken Hill as well. And Maddie, just quickly, for anyone in the far west concerned about the rising river levels, head to the Bureau of Meteorology's website or call 1300 659 210. I'll see you later with an update. It's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex, and good advice. And that's the local news this Thursday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.